Hey guys, thanks for coming out. Exciting time of the year, my favorite time of the year to say the least. Let me first start by saying really proud of this team. By the way, they've done some things this summer, one being the way they've worked in the weight room in the summer conditioning with the strength staff. They put in a lot of long hours, and I really think that they've arrived in really good shape. I want to thank the strength staff for doing a phenomenal job. Really appreciate those guys in our weight room because they hand us over a team, hopefully, that's obviously ready to go, and by all indications, they've handed over a team that's in great shape. Next, our team continues to attack academics like they did this summer. Once again, had a great summer academically, and that just goes to show you why we have the highest graduation rate in the conference, and that we've won the highest team GPA award the last 2 out of 4 years in the Sun Belt Conference. So there's a reason they're doing well in the classroom. The next thing is proud of the way our guys have gotten out in the community this summer and gave back to Acadiana and Lafayette, and really proud of the way they've done that, and I think that's always a very good thing. With that being said, getting into camp, we're off to a great start. And what, somebody once said, well, Coach, I've never had one coach ever say that, man, you're off to a bad start, or camp is not going well. But as coaches, all camps are a little bit different. Sometimes you're coming back with a complete veteran team. Sometimes you're coming back with maybe a lot of newcomers. And then, sometimes you're a little uncertain in direction, especially if you're uncertain at quarterback, things like that are big factors. But this year, we feel really good, like we mentioned before, at the quarterback position with Jordan. And then we also feel great at the backup position with Andre Nunez. But on top of that, we've got, to me, a veteran football team. The defensive line returns most of the starters. The secondary returns most of the starters. And then we've got TJ Posey right now running with the once, and he's a fifth-year senior at linebacker. So we got to fill a few spots there. Offensively, 4 of the 5 offensive linemen return. The receivers return. And so we have some experience there. But you know what? We've got a lot of outstanding playmakers on the offensive side of the ball, and that's really encouraging. And as camp has already gone along, it's been a lot of fun seeing these guys make plays and to see the way they've pulled together as a team. And that's probably been the funnest thing for me during this camp, is the kids' enthusiasm, the way they're attacking every practice, the way they're pulling together. That's exciting to see. And on top of that, special teams-wise, you've got first team preseason all-conference, our Stevie Artigue back, and that always gives you a lot of confidence when you've got an outstanding kicker. We've got a lot of newcomers that we're really excited about that will probably find roles sooner or later, whether they're freshmen or any other newcomers on the team. But a lot of those guys have shown up and have shown the ability in the first 3 days that we feel like that will be able to help us. And that's exciting. So got to give a lot of credit to our staff. They've done a great job with recruiting. They've done a great job getting our football team ready for fall camp and all the preparations, installation that you have to get done. And so our support staff has done a phenomenal job getting all the logistics of camp ready. And so we're ready to attack this challenging schedule. As you know, 5 home, 7 on the road is always not what you would want, but that's what our marching orders are. And to be honest with you, we're ready for the challenge. In 2011, we had 5 home games and we won 9 games that year. And so we're excited for the opportunity. We're going to go to some great places. So it's going to give our fans some great opportunities to travel with our team to some great venues, and that will be exciting too. And so looking forward to kicking this season off. We got a lot of work left to do before we get to that point. With 5 weeks of preseason practice, it was important for us, and I talked to the staff about this, not to come out too hot, because a lot of times you feel like you got to get ready to play tomorrow. We don't play until the 2nd, and so it's just now August the 1st, and so we've got a lot of time left to prepare and a lot of work left to do, but we're off to a great start, and I'm anxious to see where we can take it from here. Any questions? Dan.
You talked about enthusiasm from the team. When does execution supersede enthusiasm?
Well, that's one thing that I'm probably excited. My enthusiasm is because I'm seeing good execution. There's one thing to have enthusiasm, one thing to have execution, But when guys are giving great effort, football to me is just as important to have incredible effort as it is, doing the right things. Great pursuit on defense overcomes mistakes, things like that. So we're way ahead, I feel like, right now defensively than where I thought would be, because especially since Mike's had basically now a full year to implement his defense, and then Will's done a great job offensively coming in and installing things, especially with the work they put in spring ball in now. So that part's coming. So it only will get better.
Coach, can you speak a little bit about the running back position and losing Elijah, and just kind of how that's going to convey?
We've got a lot of good running backs, and we got to replace a great one. And we got a local kid named Elijah Mitchell, who all indications in the first 3 days is we made the right choice signing Elijah Mitchell. He has shown a lot of things that we felt like that we saw on tape, and all the intangibles. And he's a hard worker. He's a great kid. He's been a great asset to our program. But we've got some other backs too, and they're all right now neck and neck. They all bring a little bit something different to the table, whether it's speed, whether it's size, whether it's strength. And so it'll be a little bit by committee, and that part is not shaking itself out yet. It's hard to judge running backs in just helmets. Those guys, they all look pretty good in helmets. We'll put on those pads here pretty soon and get to some scrimmages, and we'll know a lot more about a lot of guys.
Coach.
Yep.
You spoke about the amount of experience that you have coming back, particularly on offense across the line, 4 or 5 starters, veteran wide receiver core now this year. How much is that going to help Jordan's progression, being able to lead the offense when he has that much veteran presence around him?
Well, I think that can only give him confidence. I know if I'm a quarterback and I got a lot of veterans up front, I'm feeling much better than I would if I've got a lot of freshmen in front of me. I would be concerned. But we've got 4 starters back, and on top of that, we've got some quality depth. I mean, quality depth. I think right now we've got 11 that we could feel good about putting in a game. And most of the time going into a game, first or the season, you always want to have at least 2 centers, 3 guards, and 3 tackles. And if you feel like you've got that, you feel like, you know what, you're pretty solid. But we feel like I think we've got 10, maybe 11 guys that I have confidence in at this moment that will be able to play throughout the season if we ever need those guys.
What were some of the concerns? You said, the defense is way ahead of the schedule where you thought you guys would be at this time. What are the, obviously you have new guys are going to be starting at the linebacking core, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Also your 2 leading tacklers from last year. So what are some of the things that you're looking for your defense here in this preseason time from the defense? What are some progressions you'd like to see?
Well, one thing is we're trying to evaluate all these new guys. We've got a lot of new linebackers, whether they're redshirt freshmen that didn't play last year, Tanner Holmes, Alonzo Brown, let's see, who else? Freshmen. And then, though, we got a lot of newcomers too. So we've got a lot of faces that we're trying to evaluate. So we're not trying to be too tricky defensively right now. We're trying to be very sound and let these guys line up and play ball, learn fundamentals. But they still got a natural progression that they're putting things in with their installation. But they're doing some good things, but we've got to find some answers there. When you lose two linebackers that had 200 tackles between them, that's a lot of production. But the rest of the team has got to, we got to put more on the rest of the team. The D-line, with that many veterans coming back, they've got to be really effective, and so hopefully we'll be.
Special teams, return possibilities, who are you looking at there? And also your new punter, Drossi, is he the guy going in, or is there a battle there? Or?
Yeah, with the returners, Raheem Malone and Ernest Patterson right now, both of those guys are battling for the starting punt return position. And we got some other guys that we're repping also. But those guys are what we're looking for with the type of speed, quickness that you have, that you need, and the ball skills that you want to have in the back end handling those punts. You got to have somebody that you can count on that's going to catch every one of them. And so at the kick return position, it's probably Raymond Calais would have the upper hand right now. Obviously, he was doing that last year until he was injured. With the addition of Sam Gerasi, right now it's not his job. He understands it's his job to win. But there's some other guys, obviously, that are competing for that job. Aaron Bird has been in our program for a long time. He's worked awfully hard. He's an outstanding teammate, and he's gotten much better at the kicking position, at the punting position, and he's battling along with Harry McCullum, who transferred in last year. So those 3 guys right now are competing every day, and we'll see how that shakes down in the next few weeks.
Overlooked spot of special teams, deep snapper position.
Yep, we got to replace a guy that was a two-year starter, and that's always a concern. But you know what? We got two guys right now that Paul Boudreau and Jason Ladner. Both of those guys are snapping extremely well. They're competing for the job. We have not named a starter at the long snapper position or the short snapper position, but we've got two really good candidates that are working hard, and I'm anxious to see who ends up being the guy.
What kind of injury questions do you have going into camp?
Well, defensive line. You know, we've got three guys that are still out that will hopefully report and begin with the team in the next 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. Roderick Stevens obviously was hurt in the bowl game along with Terrence Jones, and then David Lamoto had a late season injury too. So all three of those guys are still rehabbing, still training. They're getting closer, and I would say, you know, Lamoto maybe 2 weeks, Roderick maybe about 2 weeks, Terrence maybe about 3 to 4. But we will have them back, which is critical. That's 3 D linemen, and that's a whole defensive line. And so we'll get them back at about the right time, because these other guys are getting a lot of reps, and they'll need a break here in about 2 to 3 weeks. They'll need a little more depth. So we want to make sure these guys are 100% when they come back.
Is Calais full go?
Calais is full go. Mm-hmm.
Kind of piggybacking off the earlier question, you mentioned some of the guys that will potentially be the punt returner, but how important is it to get more effective punt returns for field position for the offense?
You know, last year we were number 2 in punt in the Sun Belt Conference, but we're number 8 in punt return. So, you know, we've got to have more production from that position. And that, to me, you know, we got to take a few more chances. And last year it seemed like we fair caught way too many. We had some other opportunities to get some positive yards. And so that's a critical part of what we're trying to do this off season and then during camp. And so that's why we got those two guys back there. And Raheem Malone hasn't seen a ball that he does not like, good and bad. But nevertheless, he's doing a good job, along with Ernest and some other guys.
With so many talented options at receiver, how do you accommodate all of them within a new offensive system?
Yeah, you know, we've got a lot, like I said, a lot of, you know, we got the guys that right now are standing out the most, which we have a lot of guys right now that I'm excited about. But, you know, you talk Keenan Barnes, you talk Jamarcus Bradley and Michael Jacquet, and then Raheem Malone. Those are 4 guys, which all 4 are going to be on the field at some point at the same time. So last year and the years past, we've only played with 3. This year we're going to play with 4 sometimes, and then sometimes 2. You know, based on the personnel groupings. But you know, the strength of our team, I feel like, is our wideouts, and so we're going to try to get them the football and utilize those guys. But we still want to be effective in the run game. We want to be balanced, and we want people to respect the run game, to put people in the box. And I really feel like that our offensive system that Will has is broad enough to be able to take what the defense gives you. And so, but we've got some unselfish players on this team. All 4 of those guys all pull for one another. It's not a selfish bone in their body. They all want the ball, obviously, but they're good teammates.
How have the guys been processing Will's new offense and just the way that he teaches and different things? Like how
They've been processing it better than me. You know, because, you know, when you've been calling a certain offense as long as I have, and the terminology, you've known it for so long, and then when you change and learning a new terminology, they've picked it up much easier. It's been a great, easy transition for those guys. Luckily, they had the whole spring. They had the summer, and so the terminology part they've got down. The same type systematics for us. You know, we're a no-huddle team, but it is a completely different offensive scheme, offensive philosophy, terminology than what we've done in the past.
Khalif was evaluated yesterday. Any update on it?
Yeah, Khalif's probably going to miss at least 2 to 3 months. You know, he was running with the 3s, and we was hoping he was going to be a guy that we could count on for some quality depth this year. Fell on it at practice on his shoulder, and he is having surgery tomorrow, and will be out based on how the surgery goes and based on the severity of what the doctors find. So we're going to wish for the best and hope maybe we can get him back at some point later in the season.
Coach, how is Ragin Cajuns out there?
You know what? He is of all the freshmen, and we've talked about some other ones, he's another one that's demonstrated he may be ready to play this year. You know, I'd like to redshirt all those freshmen, so they're 5th-year guys. We love to line up with a 5th-year senior class, but he's a guy that I feel like that can help us, and special teams, maybe even in the secondary. He's a heady guy. He's a football player, and that's what the coaches they're told us. And you know, obviously you saw that on tape too. But
you know, he played a little offense too with the Katie on the
he did.
Maybe some injuries came up or something.
You know, don't anticipate that, but that you know, I'm never going to say never. Yeah.
What about Jam Williams?
Excuse me.
Jam Williams?
Yep, Jam, you know, is trying to pick things up in the secondary. You know, he was mostly an offensive player in high school, and he's playing safety right now, trying to pick things up. It's new to him. He's learning. It's a learning curve. You know, he's out there right now. You know, a lot of these new guys, which he's in phenomenal shape. The kid is one of the, I mean, he looks like he trains 24 hours a day. A great young man, but he's just learning the game a little bit again. He's been away from it a little bit, but he's working hard. He's doing a good job, and hopefully we can find a role for him. I'd love to be able to do that.
You mentioned several times that you plan to turn the keys over completely to Will Hall. What are you hoping that opens up for you to do on game day?
Well, one, it allows me to put my concentrate, because I do all the special teams, and so obviously during the season, you know, you're stretched really thin. Special teams all day long, offensive scheme, offensive film study, all that. So it allows me to put a little more time into special teams, take a little bit off my plate there. Allows me to do more head coaching duties and probably maybe do a little bit better job at those, since I'm not so stretched so thin. So the offensive staff works really well together, and Will has done a great job of instilling that offense, and they've got a lot of confidence in him and in each other. And I think he realizes he's got a great offensive staff, and the same thing on the defense side of the ball. So it's allowed me to you know, fulfill my head coaching duties, and hopefully do them even better, since I'm not in the offensive meetings 24 hours a day with those guys.
Tom, two more. Go, Bruce.
Levi Lewis is a guy that did wonders at Scotlandville. You know, how has he looked so far in camp, and what's the plan with him? Do you expect him to redshirt, or?
Levi Lewis is going to be a special player. I'm going to just make that call. You know, I don't know when it's going to be. Don't know when he'll be ready, but that guy he's got something to him, and what we sort of call that it factor. And he loves the game. I checked rooms the other night. I stayed in the dorm the first night that I had dorm duty, night number 1, and so I had that single mattress. And I'm going to tell you, the air works great in our dormitories here at UL. But nevertheless, he studies the game. When I checked his room at 10:30, he was in his playbook. So I made another loop back about 11 just to make sure guys were lights out. Well, I walk in his room. He's got his phone, and he's looking at his playbook with his phone light, because his roommate was trying to get some sleep. So still studying that playbook, because he wanted to be up on the next day's installation. And so it's important to him, as it is a lot of those guys.
You talked about the difference in terminology in the offense and the adjustment that means. What prompted the changes in offense? What would you hope to achieve that you haven't?
Well, the number one thing is score points. You know, our first 4 years here, we averaged 34 points a game. And it's like anything, you know, if you're not careful, something sort of, you know, your offense runs its course, because everybody in the conference has seen it for so long, and so it was the right time for a change. And be honest with you, what Will's brought is a new dynamic and a great way to get our playmakers the football. And now we're fixing to throw something at this conference that they have not seen. Totally new, every game, so they won't have previous scout reports that we bank to, just like every university banks. And so this is, you know, a fresh start offensively. We've got some exciting offensive players, a veteran offensive line, and a new scheme. So that part's really, really exciting.